Olivier, bienvenue, c'est à vous.
Merci.
Alors, merci beaucoup pour l'introduction, l'invitation. Malheureusement, je ne vais pas essayer à parler en français. J'ai fait ça une fois pendant une présentation. Je suis traumatisé. Donc, Olivier va parler en français et moi, je parle en anglais. As said, when I got invited, I extended the invitation to Olivier to do something together because we have collaborated quite a lot recently, and so we kind of I took the invitation as a starting point also to produce something rather than just to show what has been done already. And this is like maybe like the second half of this talk is where we going to show a new project, which is in a way like a side project of RolloPress, which in a way is a side project of my design practice. So it's kind of all linked to what I'm doing, but yeah, anyhow, it's a new thing.
No. C'est sur YouTube.
Okay, so the talk doesn't really have a title. It's just called A, RolloPress 2008 until whoever knows, and B, Yellow Pages 2018 until, I don't know, we'll see. So I'm starting with showing RolloPress, which is a thing that I began as a reaction to working as a graphic designer in the context of commissions for art institutions, museums, places in Zurich that you probably know, like Kunsthalle or Migros Museum, for Gegenwartskunst, where I worked together with my friend Lex Trüb since 2005 in a small design studio, and we did a bunch of catalogs for these places. And while it was very interesting, at the same time it also had its frustrating moments. A lot of processes, a lot of decisions were taken based on political power games and not so much with the optimum kind of result in mind. And after working in this context for a while, we thought that maybe as a reaction to this lengthy and sticky institutional processes, it would be nice to have a practice that is much more intermediate, much more direct, much more spontaneous, much more experimental maybe, and also, yeah, much less complicated in the end. And so, without really thinking too much, I kind of came to founding a publishing house, although this never really was it was never really like an outspoken plan to do so. It kind of just happened because I bought this machine, and this machine is a risograph, obviously. It was just at the time we were looking for modes or means of production that were affordable, available, transportable, and the most obvious choice, of course, would have been a photocopier. And that's also what we have been actually looking for on eBay and places like this. But then somehow in the same listings, these risographs popped up. This was more or less at the end of 2007, when Dexter Sinister and Will Holder and all these people were participating in a show in Geneva called Wouldn't It Be Nice? And as their contribution to this exhibition, they installed a whole laboratory of production involving writing, designing, printing, binding, etc., to produce a new number of their magazine, ... And I was a subscriber to the magazine, and I received it in the mail, and I saw on the spine that it was printed by a risograph, and I was just immediately inspired by the quality of the ink on the paper. And so, yeah, without actually actively taking this decision, I kind of started the publishing house just by purchasing the machine. And quite a while later, I found this quote by Swiss designer Hans Rudolf Lutz that I really admire, and I think this quote kind of puts into words better than I can say, like how I started it. And maybe 2 or 3 of you don't really know what a risograph is, so it looks like a photocopier, as you have seen before, and it also works like one in terms of how you can operate it. It's really easy. There's a big green button that you press and it makes a copy. But the difference just is that it prints monochromatically in one color. And what you can see there is like the standard range of Riso colors available. So there's about like 16, 17 that you can buy off the rack. And then there are some that you can basically order any kind of Pantone color from Riso directly in Japan. For each color that you're printing, you need one of these funky suitcases that carries the color drum. And here you can see that this is basically the printing master. So it's like a really thin kind of textile that is mounted on the drum all automatically in the machine. And when you send a file or when you put the original onto the scanner glass, there's a thermo unit which burns millions of small holes into this fabric, thereby creating something similar to a silk screen. And so the process really is silk screening. I think also the results are kind of similar. I like the quality of the ink on the paper. It's very dense and very vivid and very, very strong. And so I started to experiment with this, and I also started to kind of try and fix the stuff because it constantly broke down. Like the first machine that I bought was a really old one, really crappy one, and yeah, it was a lot of trouble. But I found a lot of joy in this direct way of working, of doing something and then immediately seeing the result, which I think is something that has been very getting less and less like a thing in graphic design, where you work on a PDF or on a digital file for a very, very long time, and then you send it off to a print house somewhere in Eastern Europe, and then you get it back. You get your printed result back 3 weeks later, and there's no way you can influence the quality of this result because it's done. And so by just directly working on the machine, I kind of like I just felt that it makes a lot of sense to test ideas and to see how they look like, and if they don't look like, to correct them or improve them or recycle them. And so basically what I did is that I just called up a bunch of friends and asked them, like artists or designers, people who produce visual material that can be put into books, and ask them if they would want to react on the machine in one way or another. And the first example for this that I'm showing is a book by Swiss artist and photographer Linus Bill. He's a really good friend of mine, and I just called him and said, like, hey, I have this machine. It prints in red, blue, green, and black, and if you want, we can make a book together. And so basically, he gave me material for a book which is called Tu m'as volé mon vélo. And it's essentially just a selection of 75 photographs that are printed monochromatically, but the rhythm of the book is such that the color just changes after every 25 pages. So there's 25 green pages and 25 blue pages and then 25 red pages, and that's the whole thing. But I just really like that you somehow end up with design ideas that you couldn't come up with if the restrictions of the machines wouldn't be as specific as they were. And another thing that I did, I was invited by, I think, Zach Kais, who was organizing an exhibition or like a touring kind of show called Forms of Inquiry. that was taking part at the, I think, EPFL in Lausanne, and he kind of asked me to react on the invitation. It was dealing about the criticality in architecture and graphic design, and somehow I had a bit of an obsession with the book that you can see here. It's called How to Build Your Own Living Structures by Ken Isaacs. It's an American artist who was architect who was involved a lot with DIY models, instructions of how to build your own houses and furniture, pretty much in sync also with the whole kind of movement of the 70s. But the thing was that I have never seen this book. I only knew it existed as a PDF on this website, Public Collectors, and so I proposed to just kind of rematerialize the book in the context of the exhibition. And the good thing with the risograph is that it's portable. It's kind of, I mean, it's really heavy, so you have to ask a friend or two to lift it into the trunk of your car. But from the point on when it's there, it's really easy to transport, and you can basically set up a print shop pretty much anywhere where there's electricity, paper and ink. And so I just thought maybe to benefit from the context of this exhibition, you would have visitors that could kind of like help you to produce the book. So if somebody wanted the book, they would just need to collate their own copy and then bind it in the end. And so with the help of the audience, we kind of, we produced this volume. There's a little bit shitty images, but I guess you get an idea of what's in there. And yeah, up to this day, I have actually never seen the original. We had to slightly adjust the design to kind of like to make it fit on a riso. And of course, I guess the original is not blue but black. But after the exhibition was over, I just ended up with like quite a lot of leftover books that I carried back to Zurich. And I thought, instead of selling them on my website, which was what I was usually doing with my books, because I kind of thought like the paper is sponsored and the ink was sponsored and the people helped doing this and the content is stolen, so it doesn't really make sense to put a price tag on it. And so I just put it up for swapping on my website and just said like, you know, if somebody is interested in a book, you can make an offer, and then I'll send you one, and you send me something in return. And this is a collection of things that I got, from ping pong paddles to homemade ginger beer, and of course a lot of other books. And this is also actually the.
Oui, c'est là que j'interviens. En fait, c'est à partir de ce livre-là que j'ai contacté Ours, parce que j'avais publié en 2010 de façon indépendante un petit livre sur les œuvres d'art volées. Et à ce moment-là, j'avais demandé à Ours s'il était intéressé pour échanger mon livre contre le sien. Mais en fait, il n'en avait plus. Donc, t'avais pas voulu mon livre, je crois. Enfin, c'était un peu. C'est pas que t'en avais pas voulu, mais bref.
J'ai pas voulu.
Non, t'as pas voulu. Mais non, t'en avais plus.
Ah, oui.
C'est là que voilà, on reprendra cette histoire un peu après.
So, yeah, these first examples are for me just still, when I look at them now, they're kind of like nice examples of how to collaborate or how to use this machine. And the other one is a book that I made in Italy. That's why it also carries the title Made in Italy, which was happening based on an invitation by Daio Onorato and Nico Krebs, two Swiss photographers, artists, that in 2010 had a show at a kind of a big space in Florence. I think K3 was its name, a bigger museum. And they invited me to do a book on site. And basically the framework of the game was that they have an exhibition opening on a Thursday, and I should go there on Sunday and install the whole thing, and then we would make some kind of book together. But it was, apart from this, just completely unclear what will happen. And so I just, borrowed a car, put everything in it, drove to Italy with a lot of paper, all the colors I had, and they were I think, working on their exhibition in a kind of a similar way. They had a bunch of fixed ideas of what they will do, or a bunch of works that they knew that they will show. But on top of that, they also had a whole Volkswagen bus just filled with materials in order to produce works on site and kind of like react on the space and the situation that they will be finding there. And so they, and then the idea was to just go there and see what happens. And so one thing they brought was quite a lot of live animals. What you can see here is a space where they installed some sort of a terrarium that had like little worms in it and stuff, and it was lighted from, there was a light on top and below, and so it would generate some sort of a projection or a photographic image that would slowly kind of like change over time as the animals were walking around. And then at one moment they just totally took over the risograph and just started to put stuff on it, like animals, stuffed animals, live animals, all kinds of things. And in a way, for me, I mean, in the beginning it was of course a little bit disgusting, but I just really liked that they saw the potential and just started to use it in whatever they felt like. And the result was kind of course, something that I would have never done on my own. And so basically from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday, we were printing. Wednesday evening, it went to the binder. And then Thursday, for the opening, the whole thing was ready. And you can see here in the beginning, it's like more conventional. I made a layout. I put, I just showed their pictures, their image works. I was like playing around with the risograph. And then you can see pages where they kind of took over and overprinted what already has been printed and used it in their own kind of manner. And we just printed images or created images as long as we had paper. And also we decided the final editing of the book basically after the book was printed, which is also something you can only do if you work like this. Basically you just print like 100 pages of this, 100 pages of this, 100 pages of this. Then you just put them all up in a row and start to decide, okay, this page should go first, this comes next. And I still really like this kind of just very direct way of working that otherwise, or at least in my practice as a graphic designer, you hardly ever find. And so, yeah, kind of made it in time, and it was a very good moment. And then, I mean, a lot of these first examples, of course, they are very, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of manual labor, there's a lot of people involved, you always have to kind of like deal with material. And somehow, after a while of doing this, I also got interested in producing higher print runs or creating bigger numbers. And so when we got the invitation to produce a book for an exhibition for an Estonian artist called Triin Tamm, we kind of just took it was basically the budget for producing an artwork, and we took the whole budget and produced a book, which is a kind of like an obscure mix of beginnings of books. Some of them are fictitious and some of them are real. And the book was called A Stack of Books, and this was also the title of an installation, which of course consisted of a stack of books. And the book called A Stack of Books consisted of a number of beginnings of possible books. So it's a kind of a book about books, but it also a little bit makes fun of this topic. I think it was something that was very around in graphic design at the time. The book was somehow, I don't know, 15 years ago everybody said it's dead, and then like 5 years ago or 8 years ago it was suddenly there, and was something that a lot of people were working with. And so in a way it also is a bit like, it has a kind of like a critical distance to this idea of making books about books. So yeah, it's basically just, I mean, I can say it now. A lot of fake covers and fake text about fake books, so fake news. But here you can see the installation, and for me, it was just an important thing, like an important project, in order to get a little bit out of this. Yeah, I'm printing my own books in my basement, but it was just a way to talk to a bigger audience. And then a book that I still like is called Baldessari Sings Levit. Maybe I'm just quickly going to show like a bunch of seconds from a video.
Conceptual artists are mystics rather than rationalists. They leap to conclusions that logic cannot reach. Number 2, rational judgments repeat rational judgments. Number 3, illogical judgments lead to new experience. Number 4, formal art is essentially rational. Number 5, irrational thoughts should be followed absolutely and logically.
And so this is artist John Baldessari singing Sentences on Conceptual Art by Sol Levitt. And the book that you could see here was a student work from a student also from Estonia. And the assignment consisted in translating a piece of video art into something graphic. And I saw this at a kind of like a student art book fair, and I just thought it's such a brilliant idea, the way he made it. And I think also from a publishing perspective, it's genius, because it carries two really big names on the cover, but in a way that you really don't understand what's going on. And so I can show a little bit of the inside. It's just what was this? It's getting summer. Basically, he just translated the whole video back into sheet music. So he was listening to Baldessari singing, trying to detect the notes and the melodies, and then transcribe it into sheet music. So basically, someone who can read these kinds of documents could actually reenact the Baldessari performance at home. And this is a book that I have printed several times using the risograph. And then after one moment, I just felt stupid, because I made 200 copies and sold them, and then I made another 200 copies and sold them. And so I thought, okay, it's maybe just also time to find a little bit of money and make an offset edition of 1,000 copies and try to get rid of them. And this worked actually pretty well. And this is a thing that I could have kept reprinting, but this student later became a guy who was working as in bande dessinée, in cartoons, and he didn't want to be associated with this thing anymore, so he kind of like asked me to stop it. Yeah, and then in 2012 or so, I received an email from Olivier with a lot of with a proposal for a book and with a lot of images that looked like this. And maybe you can continue in French.
Pourquoi j'ai envoyé l'email? En fait, l'email, il fait suite à mon email de 2010 où tu n'avais pas voulu mon livre. Et j'ai fait un peu comme un témoin de Jéhovah, j'ai laissé mon pied dans la porte. Et en fait, je t'ai tout de suite envoyé ça en disant, peut-être t'en veux pas, mais j'ai une autre proposition.
En 2010 ?
En 2010, ouais. Ça veut dire ça a pris tout ce temps-là, on est en 2012 là. Mais en fait, j'avais commencé, disons que l'aspect collection m'a toujours intéressé, et forcément les Simpsons aussi, mais j'étais pas à ce point-là un fan des Simpsons pour en faire un livre en fait. Mais disons que comme disait Urs avec A Book of Stacks et Stacks of Books de Trinh Tram, il y avait cet aspect un peu ironique dans la collection de livres dans les Simpsons qui venait un peu questionner cette époque, donc la bonne époque de 2010 où beaucoup de livres sortaient avec des doubles pages à l'intérieur. Et en gros, ça faisait un autre livre, deux livres, et ce côté un peu du serpent qui se mord la queue. Avec les Simpsons, c'était une manière de dire, il n'y a pas seulement Ed Ruscha, il n'y a pas seulement les artistes, il y a aussi cet aspect de basse culture, mais de culture populaire en tout cas. Et c'était un peu un critical point of view, comme tu dis. Après, je pense qu'il a été beaucoup plus vendu auprès des fans des Simpsons finalement. Mais en tout cas, si je peux leur avoir... Enfin, voilà, je leur ai donné quelque chose avec un point de vue critique à l'intérieur. Mais j'ai donc contacté Ours parce que, suite aux ouvrages qu'il vous a présentés, j'ai senti que Rollo Press, en fait, dans son catalogue, avait une sorte de sensibilité à ce qui m'intéressait, c'est-à-dire une forme de design ironique un peu, et de le dire ce soir, mais j'ai toujours un peu pensé que le travail de Ours et aussi de Lex, que j'avais rencontré ici au Centre culturel suisse avec une très grosse bobine de posters que vous aviez fait, avait toujours cette manière de questionner l'industrie et l'ironie à la fois, et les combinaisons étaient toujours assez intéressantes, quoi. Donc, j'ai envoyé mon email avec une somme d'images à l'intérieur qui était en gros, je crois, près de 400 images des Simpsons. Et je me souviens, hein, là, c'est vraiment, je te parle de moi, mais puisqu'à l'époque, je partageais le bureau avec Guillaume et Benoît, si présents, 2 amis, et je me suis retourné en disant « Ouah, Ours, il m'a répondu en disant « Oui, on le fait tout de suite ». Et ça, c'était en 2010. Voilà.
Désolé. The thing was that I somehow... I didn't understand that you're a graphic designer.
That's cool also.
And also I kind of thought that maybe he's an artist or something. And then when I Googled your name, I saw this French hairdresser that carries the same name. And I think even after we printed the book, I had the wrong link on the website.
But pendant un temps, en fait, donc Ours a sur le site de Rollo Press une carte avec les contributeurs. Et pour la France, j'étais là et j'étais très fier. Mais il avait mis le lien vers ce coiffeur, en fait. Et... en fait, de dire, comme j'ai un peu ce truc de la dissimulation, j'ai mis un temps avant de te le dire en trouvant ça super cool.
The funny thing was I kind of thought that, because when I made this, I learned that you're a graphic designer, and this guy has a pretty weird website, so it looked like something you might have been doing.
C'est une super collection de cheveux au vent, en fait. Et c'est vrai que ça aurait pu être aussi un projet conceptuel, critique et tout ça, de la coupe de cheveux, je sais pas, chez Jean-Louis David. Mais bon, bref, non, c'était pas moi.
But the thing was that Margit, my wife, I was going to the New York Book Fair in 2013, and I somehow didn't have anything new. And then she said, like, yeah, why don't you go ahead and print the Simpsons book? And I kind of thought, like, yeah, okay, maybe I was somehow not, like, I didn't really know if somebody would be interested in this or not. And then I just thought, like, okay, how much money do I have left on my bank account? And then called up the printer in Estonia and asked them for a quote. And the choice of format, I guess, was halfway determined by the poor quality of the images, and halfway also by just the lack of budget. But anyhow, we printed 500 of those, and already at the fair in New York, it was just funny that somehow the first day, I guess, maybe nobody really noticed it, or maybe some people, and then somehow somebody important really started to like it. I think it was Ari Markopoulos or somebody like this, who then just, like a guy who knows everybody in New York, and just told everybody, hey, go to this table and buy this book. And so it started to go really, really well. And I think we maybe reprinted it once.
Yeah.
This first one?
Yeah. And just to say, mon cousin était à New York et a eu le livre avant moi, du coup. Parce que tu ne m'as pas envoyé, mais bon, c'est pas grave, mais tu m'as envoyé après. Je ne vais pas te charger toute la soirée, mais c'est les anecdotes. Non, mais de dire aussi à ta décharge que ça a pris beaucoup de temps, parce que moi, je pensais que d'imprimer 350 pages sur un papier jaune avec la réseau, c'était OK. Yeah. Mais en fait, c'est aussi à la suite de Trintam que tu as pris le temps pour imprimer ce livre en offset, en fait. C'était un vrai choix.
Yeah. So we made this first one, and then somehow we got a lot of response, and a lot of people ordered it. It was also at the time when I was doing the distribution myself. So basically twice a week I would run to the post office with a huge bag full of Simpsons books and send them out into the world. And I was also super paranoid most of the time when I got a very official looking address from somebody on Fifth Avenue or like somewhere downtown Manhattan. I would always Google the address and see if it was a lawyer or not, because I was not sure if because the material is kind of copyrighted by Fox News, and I was not sure if what we were doing would qualify as an artist book or just as unauthorized merchandise.
Hairdresser.
But yeah, we also got a lot of feedback from people who saw the first book and were unhappy with our selection. So there's one guy who had his favorite, who couldn't find his favorite Simpsons book in the Simpsons books book, and so he emailed this to us. And then instead of reprinting the first thing again, we decided to make a kind of a second edition. So the first one was called A Pocket Companion, and then the second one was called Another Companion.
Oui, en fait, on ne voulait pas mentionner le volume 2 pour pas attirer la fanbase des Simpsons à nouveau. Je crois que c'était ça aussi. Enfin,
the covers were 99% identical. So we also, the idea was more to confuse people rather than to clarify anything. And yeah, I mean, here you see how it works. It's just it's an alphabetical order. Alphabetical after the title of the book the Simpsons character is holding.
Parce qu'en fait, il y a tout un travail d'editing derrière ça. Enfin, mais bon,
yeah.
C'est de prendre
Olivier
les
knows
images.
them all by heart.
Yeah, totalement, je peux vous les réciter comme John Baldessari. En fait, il y a, oui, enfin voilà, il y a un vrai travail d'editing, de les classer par ordre alphabétique, d'enlever ce qui n'est pas des couvertures de livres, c'est-à-dire les journaux, les choses comme ça. Et puis de décider en fait de ce qu'on mettait. C'est pour ça que sur la première version, une personne l'a acheté en pensant que c'était l'intégralité et qu'elle était déçue parce qu'il n'y avait pas le livre des licornes de Monsieur Burns. Donc en fait, mais c'est ça le plus malin, c'est que dans la réimpression on l'a mis, mais évidemment on l'a pas mailé en fait, parce qu'au fond elle se plaignait, donc on voulait pas la satisfaire directement elle. Donc du coup on l'a pas remailé, on lui a pas indiqué que son livre était présent. Donc elle l'a pas, elle est pas contente.
So I think maybe we printed this once or twice.
It's up to you. I don't know everything, but
hard to say. There's no real. But the thing was that, I mean, we can maybe quickly also say something about this because this is a friend of yours, no?
Non, oui, en fait,
not Matt Groening, but
non, oui, je le connais bien. En fait, on a reçu cette image-là d'une jeune femme qui était à la Los Angeles Art Book Fair et qui, en fait, en l'achetant, venait de croiser Matt Groening et elle a la chance, elle, d'avoir un exemplaire dédicacé. Et on ne l'a pas. Et de dire que notre rêve absolu était que le livre finisse dans les Simpsons comme une citation. Et que je suis allé avec Susanna manger à Los Angeles dans le restaurant thaï où il va tout le temps, avec un livre dans la poche, mais qu'il n'est jamais venu. Matt Groening, c'était là. Ouais.
And the interesting thing about this signature is also that below it says not an endorsement of this product. So you can somehow sense that, I guess, Groening liked the book, but he somehow had to distance himself. Otherwise, we could have said like, yeah, but this guy signed it off. So it's a good indicator that it still moves in a legal kind of gray area.
Et puis l'anecdote, moi, qu'on m'avait dit aussi, c'est que c'était quelqu'un qui collectait tous les faux, en fait, de Simpson.
Yeah.
Et c'est aussi, enfin, ce qui m'intéresse chez ce monsieur, je pense qu'il a une certaine ironie lui aussi. Voilà.
Yeah. So anyhow, we did the Simpsons book together, and then somehow, I mean, as a publisher and as a guy who wants to sell books, I guess I could have kept reprinting it. But at one moment you said, "Hey, let's take a break."
Non, parce que je devenais un peu le Simpsons.
You became the Simpsons guy.
Yeah. Et les gens savaient pas que j'étais designer graphique. Alors j'en souffrais le soir en m'endormant. Mais non, disons que c'était aussi l'idée d'ajouter cette valeur un peu intellectuelle au produit et de pas en faire, sinon je serais allé chez Taschen, c'est pas contre toi, mais je serais allé chez un gros éditeur et j'aurais fait, voilà, j'aurais une piscine aujourd'hui. Mais je crois non, enfin ouais, ça a été une vraie rencontre aussi, parce que moi, une fois qu'on a ôté le doute de ce que je faisais, il y a eu ces échanges qui devenaient assez rigolos, où je crois la premier jour où tu étais à New York Art Book Fair, tu m'as envoyé la table qui était pleine, le deuxième jour un peu plus vide, et le troisième jour il n'y avait plus rien, et en me disant ouais, je crois que ça marche. Et puis pareil, quand tu allais à la poste, je me souviens de les piles à la fin des... c'est ce qui t'a fait arrêter si tu vends plus maintenant, toi-même.
Yeah. But I mean, the main thing was that we became really good friends through this, and somehow also started to work on other projects together, and I think this is still like I was teaching, he's still teaching, so we started to also maybe like try to combine our practices or work in other ways, or make make this excursion to Chaumont and stuff like this, and so
Non, oui, c'est vrai, il y a Étienne dans la salle. Mais je pense qu'on a développé aussi un intérêt au-delà de ça pour, notre pratique, puis deux, nos amitiés communes. Tu connais ma femme, je connais ton fils, on connaît tout. Et voilà.
So, just as a link to afterwards, I'm going to show one last kind of like a roller press book that I did alone, and then I'm going to switch back to Schadeweg. This is just a thing that I also like to show, because it's a book that is also kind of like self-initiated, but in its volume and its complicatedness and its number of footnotes, it kind of like extends everything that I have been doing up to date. Basically, it's a PhD work by a Zurich-based philosopher and artist called Tine Melzer. And she once showed it to me at a dinner, and I mean, of course, I haven't read it then, and I also up until now have never read it in its whole. But just the sheer material, the visual material that she had in there, and the kind of like the way it was stitched together was very appealing to me. But its initial form was more just kind of in sync with the design standards of a university in which you have to hand in your PhD. And then I proposed to her that we kind of like redesign the whole thing and put it out as a roller book. And so it's called Taxidermy for Language Animals, a book on stuffed words, and it's all about philosophy and language games, color theory, a lot about Wittgenstein and Gertrude Stein. The whole pretext of the book is based on a fictitious meeting between Stein and Wittgenstein. And just to flip it through quickly, I got interested in colliding maybe two forms that would otherwise never meet. So it's a really thick, like 480 pages heavy book. And I wanted to contrast like the kind of intellectual, very serious content with a lot of material that I would put into the book, as well as, for instance, this parrot that shows up on the cover, which apparently is the same species or the same kind of parrot that Marcel Broodhaers had. And so there's a lot of like references and hidden jokes in the whole thing. But this guy just shows up more as a kind of a mascot through the whole book. And I printed the whole thing on newsprint, working with a newsprint printer in Estonia that we maybe also hear a little bit about more later. But just this technique of printing enabled me to just be like really generous with pages, with color, with images, just go big and just use here a page, there a page, something that you usually actually never have in designing, where it's always about economy and you have to kind of like shrink it down to something. And here on the opposite, you kind of like could blow it up to something. And this is for me a good example of a Rollo Press book that somehow is a kind of a playground or like a field of experimentation for later things. So I with Rollo Press also sometimes I can try out things that I can show later to possible clients or to clients that then will maybe be reacting to it. So this we showed to the people from Skulpturprojekte Münster, which is they always call it like the smaller sister of the Documenta, which happened in Münster last year in Germany, in Nordrhein-Westfalen, and we basically convinced them to do their catalog in the same way of production. And I guess it would not have been possible if I wouldn't have had a good example or like something that I subscribe to or that I'm proud of to show them and to kind of convince them that you can also make a good book using really cheap printing technology, or cheap and fast and really industrial. And these are just kind of like maybe more as an illustration of how I also see roller press as a field of experimentation and of play that somehow, unfortunately, I guess often is not possible if you work in a very strict kind of institutional or in economical kind of collaboration with a client. Or maybe you have to try it out first, and then you can sell it to a client. Yeah, the thing that I mentioned before is that we went to Chaumont together with some students from Karlsruhe and some students from Lyon, maybe. Or
no,
Rennes.
I was alone at that time.
Ah, you were alone.
No student.
Yeah.
But oui, on s'est rencontrés là-bas. J'y vais ou tu y vas? Je commence l'histoire?
Oui,
ok.
tu vas.
Donc nous étions à Chaumont, Ours et moi, et en faisant un petit tour au gré des expositions, un signe en fait nous a un peu tapé l'œil dans une ancienne usine qui était sur un poste électrique. C'était un autocollant de l'Institut national de recherche et de sécurité qui présentait une main en disant attention, écrasement, ou écrasement, je crois, seulement un mot. Et il était intéressant de voir, et ce n'est pas là une critique de Chaumont, mais qu'au milieu de ces images de l'époque, en fait, ce signe était quelque chose de très persistant dans la rétine, quoi. Et ça avait passé à peu près 40 ans, mais c'était aussi puissant. Et l'intérêt aussi, c'était que Ours, bon, tu parles français, mais a priori, tu as tout de suite compris de quoi il s'agissait, en fait. Et c'est toi qui a dit, mais qu'est-ce que c'est? Et en fait, je t'ai expliqué que ce Bernard Chadebec, moi, je l'avais rencontré en faisant des travaux d'été de manutentionnaire dans les différentes usines, était un personnage qui, en fait, avait fait énormément d'affiches de sécurité. Et bon, je passe le truc, mais il nous a très rapidement, en fait, pris l'envie de faire un livre autour de ce monsieur que nous connaissions pas. Et du coup, le lundi, en rentrant de Chaumont, avec un peu de recherche Google, on a trouvé un mail Wanadoo d'un Bernard Chadebec. Et en le contactant pour lui demandant si c'était Bernard Chadebec, il a répondu que oui, c'était Bernard Chadebec. Et on s'est dit qu'il y avait un truc à faire. Du coup, on l'a rencontré, 5 heures dans son jardin, mangeant des glaces, tout ça. Et pour qu'il nous présente ses archives, qui étaient en gros de 3 posters, à peu près, mais c'était un délicieux déjeuner. Et en fait, de nous expliquer que son statut, et c'est là que ça devient intéressant, était un statut d'employé au sein de l'Institut national de recherche et de sécurité pendant 40 ans, et qu'en fait, en tant qu'employé, s'il comparait ça à un comptable dans l'entreprise, il ne serait jamais parti avec les comptes. Alors en fait, il n'avait pas d'archives de son travail, mais fort heureusement, l'Institut en avait une. Donc, on rencontre des gens de l'Institut qui stockaient les archives dans une cave à l'époque où ils étaient à Issy-les-Moulineaux, mais la Seine avait débordé et en fait, il n'y avait plus d'archives. Mais il nous donne le contact d'un monsieur, Daniel Busseuil, 64 ans, collectionneur d'affiches de sécurité, dont le père avait été collectionneur d'affiches de sécurité. Donc le monsieur avait 3000 affiches de sécurité au compteur, au Creusot. Et évidemment, il avait quasiment tout le fonds Chadebec, qui a à peu près 300-350 affiches. Et donc, pour le dire, Chadebec était quelqu'un qui, au vu de ce qu'il a imprimé via l'INRS, a imprimé environ 30 millions d'affiches, en fait, quoi. Et par ailleurs...
Highest number in poster design.
C'est le numéro 1 en France. Mais voilà, et en fait... par ailleurs, sauf pour un peu les quelques novices, tout ça, c'est vrai que c'était une figure totalement inconnue du design graphique. Et peut-être, et c'est là les hypothèses, parce qu'au final, il travaillait ni dans un champ culturel, ni dans un champ commercial tel que la publicité, mais dans un champ qui est un peu unique, celui de la sécurité dans le domaine industriel. Et je pense tout de suite, en fait, ça a aussi créé une résonance par rapport à nos centres d'intérêt qui sont plutôt comme ça... des marges ou des figures un peu surprenantes, voire saugrenues, parce qu'en fait, l'intérêt de ce monsieur Chadebec, c'est un vocabulaire hyper festif. En fait, lui, son rôle dans l'industrie, comme il le disait, c'était plutôt de faire rire les gens en essayant de les prévenir, plutôt que de les prévenir. Voilà. Enfin, donc, c'était un monsieur un peu rigolo, quoi.
Yeah, he was employing a lot of humor and pop
Ouais.
pop cultural
Av
images.
avant lui, en fait, puisqu'on a vu 3000 affiches de sécurité quasiment, c'était hyper culpabilisant le discours visuel dans l'entreprise. C'est-à-dire, si on mettait ses yeux sans protection, on voyait plus sa famille. Enfin, en gros, c'était ça, sans vous faire le truc. Mais c'était vraiment sordide. En fait, l'Institut a été créé en 1947, donc 2 ans après la fin de la guerre. Et ils utilisaient exactement le même registre que s'il y a un bombardement, quoi. Donc, il faut imaginer d'aller à l'usine et d'avoir ça sous les yeux. C'était genre... voilà la journée. Et par contre, Bernard a vraiment ramené ce vocabulaire un peu burlesque, en fait. Un peu aussi, c'est la France, il arrive en 65, je crois, il a 23 ans. Donc il y a un petit côté, les gens ont les cheveux longs. Ouais, c'est un peu la fête, quoi. Et lui, il profite de ça vraiment, mais par ailleurs, en faisant un travail en fait, remarquable, plutôt remarquable et intéressant, quoi.
So basically, but the good thing was that this Institut de Recherche de Sécurité told us that they are going to celebrate their 70th anniversary last year and that they need a gift for their employees. So by the time when we told them that we would like to make a book, they basically ordered 2,000 books from us without even having seen a single copy. So they basically pre-financed the whole thing and gave us like an incredible amount of freedom in producing the book, which is like a situation that I have never encountered before.
Pour faire un peu aussi de story, c'est le matin, j'ai pris un café avec eux et en fait, d'un seul coup sur la table, ils disent « Ah, mais on y pense, vous êtes en train de faire votre livre, mais voilà, nos 70 ans, c'est l'année prochaine. » Et en fait, c'est 3000, on a 3000 employés et du coup, on va acheter 3000 exemplaires de votre ouvrage. Donc nous, on n'avait même pas fait de maquette, quoi que ce soit. Mais ils mettaient en gros, pour dire les choses, 35 000 € sur la table, quoi. Et Ours, je crois que c'est quelques jours plus tard que tu avais le prix Jan Tirold avec aussi un peu d'argent. Donc c'était une belle journée pour toi. Mais eux, en fait...
Not every day like
chaque semaine. Mais disons que l'intérêt, en fait, ça a été de pouvoir penser notre ouvrage. Enfin là, je prolonge un peu maintenant, de penser vraiment l'ouvrage avec cet argent-là et pas se dire, OK, on va partir au Mexique et là, on active la RISO. Non, du coup, on a vraiment essayé de tourner en fait le mode industriel qui est celui de l'impression offset pour jouer un peu avec les posters de Bernard Chadebec et passer un peu de cet espace public, en tout cas dans lequel il affichait ses images, à l'espace privé qui est celui de la lecture, quoi.
This was at the time when I was still teaching in Karlsruhe, so I proposed to do this as a seminar together with our students there. And the idea was to make a seminar that is kind of like a little, like a design competition in a way, that each group would come up with a possible book concept and that one would be chosen and executed. And I mean, that's in a way what we did in the end. Although we, I guess at one moment kind of like took it back and finalized it a bit in our way. But I guess like the principal idea and the whole concept for the book is still one that our students made, and it's also again something that I would have never done like this if I would have done it alone or if we would have done it together. So basically, they proposed based on the maximum size of the reproductions that we could make. We went to Le Creusot and we took pictures of the whole archive on our own. So we set up a small photo studio, basically digitized the whole collection of posters. And then based on the maximum resolution that was still fit to print, they developed the book format. They just thought, okay, the posters are this and this size, and we want to make a book where we would just fold them once horizontally, once vertically, and just bind them into each other. So you would have sections of posters, but you would always ever just see 1/4 of a poster. So what you can see on the slides here is always like 1/4 of a Chadebec poster. And of course, the editing was made accordingly that you would get some sort of like a formal play between these bits of posters. And then, of course, like in each center of a signature, you would see half a poster, like for instance here with this Picasso rip-off.
Oui, c'était une époque, donc on pouvait faire des faux Picasso et comme affiche, et on se faisait pas trop embêter.
Appropriation.
Voilà. Et de dire que, en fait, assez rapidement, quand on a mis au point ce système, on a eu une rencontre avec Bernard Chadebec parce qu'on voulait pas qu'il pense. Donc Bernard a 75 ans aujourd'hui, et on voulait pas du tout qu'il pense que c'était irrévérencieux ou un livre de graphic designer, ou enfin, je sais pas, pour nous, c'était un vrai intérêt de tourner un peu la possibilité de l'offset, et en tout cas du façonnage, pour faire donc ces posters. Si vous avez bien compris, on peut vraiment enlever les coutures du livre et les déplier, quoi. Et en fait, sa réaction a été hyper positive. Il trouvait ça hyper drôle, en fait, juste d'avoir ces fragments et de recréer des histoires et des narrations entre tous ces personnages, parce que c'est un monsieur qui, quand même, dans sa tête, avait ces formes imagées pour parler à des ouvriers qui, pour la plupart, hein, enfin, parce que ça nous a été témoigné aussi, arrivaient parfois de vagues migratoires et qui parlaient pas français, en fait. Donc, c'est des gens qui comprenaient totalement, en fait, ce qui se passait, malgré des défauts de langage, ou malgré, en tout cas, des manques de langage, pas des défauts, mais on va dire que par la communication visuelle, il comblait ce vide. Et donc, ça, c'est l'autocollant qu'on a vu à Chaumont, écrasement. Voilà.
These are small miniatures or vignettes of the big posters that the institute was sending out to the workers with their payment slips. So this is also like something that is being collected now.
Juste, ouais, pour replacer le système, donc Bernard avait un studio intégré à l'Institut, ils étaient à peu près 3 ou 4 employés. Donc lui, il a vraiment été employé pendant 40 ans, ce qui est aussi une figure un peu méconnue, on va dire, dans notre pratique, parce qu'on est plutôt indépendant, ou on bosse dans un studio, mais en tout cas, lui était employé. Et il devait, en fait, l'Institut national de recherche et de sécurité travailler avec les caisses primaires d'assurance maladie. Et par exemple, je ne sais pas, moi, à Saint-Étienne, il y avait beaucoup de gens qui se prenaient leurs cheveux dans la machine. Donc cette semaine, il fallait faire une campagne pour prévenir de mettre une coiffe et d'arrêter de se prendre les cheveux dans les machines. Et donc, il se mettait avec des médecins autour d'une table, et lui arrivait et proposait ces images qui souvent n'étaient pas comprises, mais c'était une époque où les gars disaient « bon, de toute façon, on en a besoin, donc allez, on y va, quoi ». Et en fait, avec ces images affiches qui étaient dans l'industrie, il produisait ces flyers, une sorte de déclinaison qui était envoyée avec chaque bulletin de paie. Donc en fait, c'était, en termes de communication, c'était vraiment inonder les choses.
Responsive.
Ouais, totalement, responsive design. Et ils avaient aussi des autocollants pour les vestiaires des ouvriers, en pensant que c'était là où, a priori, aussi, ils pouvaient faire les choses. Donc, en fait, c'était aussi des impressions rétiniennes, quoi. Ils travaillaient sur ça.
So, for a book launch that we organized together at Sans Serif in Amsterdam, we ripped the book apart, and basically you end up with 40 or 44 posters. Mm-hmm. So this is how it looks like if you destroy the book and if you make them into posters again. And we were trying to sell some as a little edition.
Big business.
Didn't work really.
No, it was for launch only. Et celle-ci est pour François. Yeah. Donc c'est François, ici présent, un ami qui a trouvé un jour ce cadre dans la rue. Et en fait, comme quoi les images de Shadowbeck circulent aussi dans les domaines, on va dire, plus domestiques, mais les gens s'en séparent. Et il se trouve que, si Ours, là, je fais un tour de magie. Cool. Il se trouve que c'est l'image qu'on utilisait nous-mêmes pour un skateboard. Alors, pourquoi le skateboard? Voilà, un peu de valeur conceptuelle à tout ça. En fait, Ours et moi venons un peu de ce registre-là, en tout cas de cette culture, et il nous paraissait intéressant, puisqu'on avait beaucoup d'argent, de faire un produit dérivé. Qui n'avait pas été fait par l'INRS, à savoir un skateboard. Et c'était surtout une manière aussi de remettre dans l'espace public, on aime bien ces mots-là, on remettait dans l'espace public les formes de Bernard.
We were hoping that they would also order 3,000 of those, but they didn't.
Ouais, on en a fait une centaine, à vrai dire. Et on en a skaté chacun. Mais en fait, voilà, l'idée était de reprendre une de ces images un peu iconiques et de la faire circuler sur nos planches à roulettes.
So, we have been talking with Olivier for a long time of, maybe doing something new together, or maybe doing another Simpsons book. It was kind of like always the Simpsons book would always be a topic when we meet, but somehow I didn't want to push, and he also was not like really, making a step forward. So when this invitation came for this talk here, we kind of like started to joke around, I guess, about like making a new one. And then somehow, actually, I don't even remember when we exactly decided to do this. Or
I don't remember, but I just think it comes quickly, like de prendre cette, de prendre cette, comment dire, le prétexte de la conférence, qui n'est pas vraiment un prétexte, que c'est une vraie manière de présenter le travail de Urs et ce qu'on fait ensemble, mais en tout cas pour produire quelque chose. Et je pense qu'on a voulu le lancer plus loin que de produire un objet en faisant.
Yeah.
J'annonce là.
And I think like with a lot of things these days, I guess we were just hanging out in iMessage and just like sending stuff back and forth.
Oui, parce que de dire toi tu es en Estonie, moi
Yeah.
je suis ici, des fois tu es à Zurich, moi des fois je suis ailleurs. Mais en fait, on a ce truc un peu magique aujourd'hui des téléphones et qui fait qu'on s'échange toujours des choses aussi bien sérieuses que stupides.
So in
Et
a way
voilà.
we kind of and I think also you always wanted to be more involved in a way, or you would like to
Là, j'ai passé une partie du corps entier à travers la porte, pas seulement la chaussure.
yeah.
Mm.
And I always enjoy doing roller press, and I also will continue doing it. But I also really enjoy always working with you in the way of like how we took decisions together, and like I guess with the Schotterbeck, for instance, at some point we had to be really pragmatical.
Ouais.
We were like running behind the deadline. The Ecomusée in Creusot already had like this show. You had a flu.
Ah, yeah.
We were here and
Yeah,
we had to
yeah,
finish the thing. And
yeah.
like, I just at one point, but I always felt it was very like, oh, okay, let's do it like this. And it always felt like kind of like really right. And so we kind of, by sending stuff back and forth in iMessage, we kind of like thought like, oh, okay, let's maybe just found a new publishing house or like a offspring of Rollo Press or a sub-label or however you want to call it, and then publish stuff on there. And then of course, obviously, our most important project together is the Simpsons book, and so that's why we came up with the name Yellow Pages, and we're just starting to think about like things we could do using this name and this kind of restriction. In a way, it's maybe like similar like using a risograph, but the restriction just consists in two colors, basically black and yellow. And so, we were of course first thinking of republishing or making a new version of the Simpsons book. And then we were also thinking of other stuff to do. And then I was emailing my friend Benjamin Sommerhalter from Nives, because I knew that together with the Japanese artist Ken Kagami, he made a scene where they were having drawings of Bart Simpson that were like really distorted in the most funny way. And I asked him if we could reprint maybe this under the label of Yellow Pages. And then he said, this is maybe just a short explanation of how it works. And then he said, like, they're actually just working on a second edition of this Bart works, and if we want, we can just co-publish it. So, it's not officially really out yet, but we're just going to show you some.
C'est un spoiler, comme on dit.
Yeah, and we have some copies also with us.
Vous
Yeah,
pouvez acheter à la librairie.
you get the system. It's pretty simple, but still really hilarious.
Donc Yellow Pages, c'est que sur les Simpsons. Non, mais en fait, c'est un hasard de calendrier. Au moment où on lançait ça, c'est vrai que Nives et Inen donc Bartwork, il y a déjà eu un premier volume, là c'est le second volume. Et nous, on s'est dit que c'était intéressant de se greffer à eux aussi parce que c'est des histoires qui nous paraissent un peu communes et proches. Et puis moi, je cautionne totalement. Je suis un mauvais dessinateur, donc quand Ken dessine ses Simpsons, je suis très, très content que lui le fasse. Moi, je ne sais pas le faire.
Yeah. This turned out like really, really nice. And
Gusti?
But of course, like the main goal, or like also the way how we announced it a little bit, was to make tonight into a book launch of the final companion to books from The Simpsons. So this was the further declination of the title from a pocket companion to another companion to a final companion. And actually, we really made the book. And I mean, there's the proof right here.
En fait, en 2 semaines à peu près, on a assemblé 380 ouvrages parce que de redire à chaque fois, moi j'ai regardé les 4 saisons qui étaient sorties depuis, fois 28 épisodes, en accéléré x 8 sur VLC, quand je rentre de Lyon souvent, et du coup je suis un peu épileptique à la fin. Mais donc on a en fait pris l'idée, et puis moi c'était aussi pour le coup une vraie idée. Ok, les Simpsons, c'est un livre qui a marché financièrement, donc de dire en fait on va le réinjecter dans cette première, en tout cas tentative pour la maison de presse, pour financer concrètement les projets à venir. C'est aussi donc c'est clair comme ça. Si vous achetez le livre, ça finance Yellow Pages. Mais en tout cas, l'idée pour moi, c'était voilà, j'ai toujours, c'est vrai, évité l'effet de trop en faire avec ça, mais j'ai pensé que c'était un bon appel du pied, en tout cas pour commencer à mettre de l'argent dans cette maison d'édition. Et parce que, pour le dire aussi, c'est vrai que l'intérêt pour moi de travailler avec Ours, c'est au-delà des questions de design, de penser toute la question de la production et jusqu'à la question de l'économie, qui est un sujet qui est hyper intéressant, je pense. Et de le dire que là, en fait, j'ai peut-être une sorte de boss que tu caresses des fois, mais on a aussi à nouveau un coup de chance, c'est qu'en fait, IDEA, donc le distributeur qui est en Hollande, nous achète 1000 copies avant même qu'il soit fait ou avant même qu'il soit refait, parce qu'on va parler de ça.
So here, also collectively, we came to the decision to try to do this in newsprint or rotation, or how do you call it?
Rotative, on est passé par une rotative. Ouais.
But as you can maybe already see in the images, the final result in terms of printing quality was kind of disappointing. And so, I mean, we kind of decided to show it all the same. But the fact is that we will have to redo it. We just learned about this, I guess, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago.
Ouais, en fait, Ours avait un exemplaire des pages jaunes estoniennes imprimées chez ces gens et il me les a envoyées. On a pris le format, on a pris la technique, donc le livre l'a fait 640 pages. On l'a mis ici pour visualiser, pour que vous puissiez le voir. Et c'est vrai qu'en fait, on s'est rendu compte que l'imprimeur, en fait, je peux un peu parler des petits détails aussi, j'aime bien être dans l'anecdote, mais m'a envoyé les BAT une fois que tout était imprimé. Et qu'il t'a appelé pour le calage une fois que c'était imprimé aussi. Donc il y avait un problème de délai alors que Ours habite à 10 minutes de chez lui en fait. Donc on se doutait qu'il y avait des choses qui étaient en train de pas très bien se passer, mais quand on a lu le livre dans les mains...
I mean, even before we did it, I said like, okay, we can do it there, but we have to be really, really careful because like there's always something happening.
Voilà.
But so we tried like really hard to control the whole thing, but still we didn't really manage. I mean, you can have a look at it outside. I think the volume and the object feels kind of great, but the printing inside is disappointing. But maybe you disagree. I mean, it would also be interesting.
Je pensais faire comme Robert Hossein qui avait fait cette pièce sur Marie-Antoinette où à la fin le public devait voter si elle doit mourir ou pas en fait. Donc le livre est soumis à votre jugement. Mais perso, on n'est pas très content.
But as you can see, like the printing qualities.
Hey, Kevin, non, stop. Ok, merci. Voilà. Donc après, bon, en termes de contenu, vous aurez compris. Les livres présents dans les Simpsons, mais avec beaucoup. En fait, on a à chaque fois, on enlève ceux qui ont été imprimés avant, on en remet beaucoup de nouveaux. Donc c'est le seul truc. Et puis l'idée d'imprimer en rotatif, c'est aussi une vraie question économique parce que le livre fait 640 pages et dans un format assez généreux avec 2 tons et on voulait le vendre à peu près. Le prix chez IDEA est de 16 € en fait. Et la nouveauté de celui-ci est ce rébut en 4e de couve. Voilà, si vous l'avez deviné. Oh, damn.
Yeah. So.
Ça c'est nous après les Simpsons. Pas content.
Bad.
Hey, 21h21. Je sais ça.
It's time to say goodbye.
Je vois dans le soleil.
Yeah.
Voilà.
So,
on voulait. Voilà, je le traduis, je fais la traduction française avant le. Donc on vous dit merci. On dit merci au Centre culturel suisse, bien sûr. On dit merci à Jean-Paul, Olivier, Célia, Emmanuel, Kevin et Léopoldine. On dit merci à Joël pour les textes qu'il a écrits. Auguste, dankeschön. On dit merci à Susanna, muchas gracias aussi. À Margit aussi. Et on remercie Maxime Delavet pour ses animations 3D incroyables. On remercie Michael, mais ça vous ne pouvez pas savoir parce que Michael a donné sa voix. Et on remercie vous tous, bien sûr, pour être venus. Et on remercie John Lemon, c'est un super jeu de mots pour ce citron. Et on vous remercie à nouveau. Est-ce qu'il y a... C'est fini ou...
Non, peut-être on va...
Ok, le mot de la fin.
Squeeze. I'm John.
What? Non. Pull up. Pull up. Even from the Dropbox and yeah, too much pressure. Okay, let's try. Now let's go for the Dropbox maybe. Is there? Yeah, maybe it's coming on the other screen. Oh no, it's not this one. Pause.
Squeeze.
Oh. Who's that?
I'm John Lennon. I'm courtesy of Yellow Pages. I was born in 2018. Visit yellowpages.wtf to be up to date. Visit rollerpress.com to be up to read. Squeeze. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Now, yellow and black. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, thank you.
There's a bunch of Schadbeck books and Bart books
Oui.
and tote bags. I don't know, maybe.
Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Is there any question? Why? Non. Vous êtes sympa. Soyez pas. Vous êtes venu. Gusti. For a question. Squeeze. Ah. Ok. Non. Ah, ok, les gens veulent boire peut-être. Bon, on peut parler en buvant. Oui. Voilà, c'est possible. En tout cas, merci encore.